Hey guys, welcome to episode 8 of the podcast. On this episode, I got to sit down with Ben Dainton. As you may know, Ben Dainton is a good mate of mine, and he actually came on the podcast back in episode 3. We had so much fun back then, and we got so much good feedback that I thought, well, why not have him back on again and see what's going on in his life? And yeah, he did not disappoint. We had a lot of fun, so much laughs, and we talked a fair bit of rubbish, I'll be honest, but we also talked some good stuff along the way. So I hope you enjoy that. We talked about Kobe Bryant and the passing of him. I don't know why I said it like that. That was a bit weird. But yeah, I think it happened a couple of days before we recorded it. So it was quite a fresh thing in the news. And yeah, it was really sad. And so we reflected on that and kind of what that meant for culture and what that meant for society. And we talked about the new Star Wars movie, our thoughts around that. It was interesting as well. We talked about different books we've been into lately and what we've been learning from those. And I think what I'm trying to say is we talked about a whole bunch of different stuff. So I really hope you enjoy this one. I really hope you're enjoying this new format on as I'm filming them and putting them on YouTube as well. So if you're into that, go and have a look on YouTube so you can see us in person in all Ben's glory. And I don't know about me, but hey, you're stuck with me for a while. But other than that, I'm going to stop rambling because I don't want to do another take of this because it's been far too many and it's all too hard. But I really hope you enjoy this conversation. I had a blast. I hope you do too. Let me know in the feedback and in the comments what you enjoyed, what you didn't like. I want to make this as good as possible for you guys. So let me know and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye. Hey.
Yeah, well, I mean, Kobe Bryant flipping died.
Yeah, that's
must be tough for you guys sharing the same last name.
Yeah, he wasn't my homeboy. I just literally hit record and that's what we talked about. I was actually going to talk to you about that though.
Oh, really?
So, no, I don't know. I've given up doing introductions as well.
Yeah, fair.
They're just so freaking awkward. I can't figure them out. So I think I'm going to do like a bit of an introduction in.
Do you do them like post?
I think I will.
In the edit, yeah.
Because I tried doing one. I had Tertia here as well, just to see where you were, and it was a bit awkward.
Yeah, because you're like, what do I say?
Yeah, I don't know. I've listened to like a bunch of different other podcasts, and I don't want to copy them, but I don't know how to do it without sounding super awkward. But anyway.
Is it also awkward because the person's like just sitting there right in front of you and you're trying to give them like a bit of a pump up? Hey, here's what they're on about?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's also awkward because you're talking beforehand like we were, and then you sit down and then you like restart the conversation. Oh, like, well, how are you going? How are you today? Like you don't do that in a natural conversation.
Gotcha. And because we already addressed it at the front door.
Exactly. We've already talked about that stuff.
Yeah, gotcha.
That's done. But anyway, Kobe Bryant. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's talk about
crazy,
it.
Hey?
Oh, it
Very
was
sad.
It was ridiculous. I remember just like someone finding out because someone shared it on Facebook and thinking, oh, this has to be one of those, scam ones where it's like Denzel Washington dies, every 3 weeks.
Yeah,
and same with Morgan Freeman
New
and all
Idea
those
magazine.
guys. Yeah, exactly. But then I saw it was 7 News and I was real confused. So I opened it and
Usually legit.
Yeah, it was fully what happened, which is crazy.
It is crazy. It's very sad. Like it's also sad. Like he was obviously a legend, but it's very sad that he was with his daughter, and then there's other girls. I think there's a few other kids as well.
Yeah,
in it
there was 9 people, I think, in total.
Which is it's very sad, but also it feels like it's different than like other celebs passing away. Do you know what I mean? Like. Yeah. And I'm not even like a big basketball fan. I'm trying to be, but I can't get into it too much. But we'll talk about that later as well. But yeah, it's something about it. I remember like Denny and I were lying in bed. I think it was on one of the mornings, Monday morning or something. And she's like, "Oh, Kobe Bryant died." And I was like, "Oh, wow, that's crazy." I don't know. Like it affects me because it's obviously sad, but as I've seen on the internet and everything, it seems to be massive. Like there's a lot of people who don't follow basketball that are affected by it as well.
Yeah, I think I've been surprised by how many people from different sports as well. Like, I think they even interviewed like Nadal in the Australian Open, and he was like, yeah, he's a legend. And I don't know, I guess all those big famous athletes probably connect and talk about how great they are at their sports. But it's just interesting. Like, yeah, you got people in the tennis talking about it, like some of their, NFL players and just.
I saw Nick Kyrgios came out with like a Lakers jersey on, was crying, or he had some tears in his eye and stuff. Like, he must have obviously been a real, like a mentor, I guess, not one-on-one, but the way he carried himself and his legacy, and they obviously a lot of athletes looked up to that.
Yeah, I think what's his big catch cry, like that Mamba mentality or whatever, and he's
I've never heard of it.
Yeah. Well, it's like it's this big basketball thing. It was kind of like when he gets in the zone, he kind of takes over Mamba mentality, and he was always known for his like insane work ethic. And so I wonder if it's just that sort of, mindset, focused, attention to detail. Even just coming up in the clutch, coming through when the team needs you. Those sort of moments that really just, I guess, set people up to go. It doesn't matter what sport you're in. Those kind of attributes and mindset you can kind of take on.
Yeah.
Whatever you're doing.
Yeah, it seems as well that he doesn't sound like he's ever had a scandal attached to his name or anything like this, which is what I've heard on the internet, which is the source of all knowledge.
Yeah, that's right.
But like I was listening to a comedian, do you know Chris D'Elia?
Yeah, my wife loves Chris D'Elia.
Oh, really? Yeah. I listened to his congratulations podcast, where it's literally just him talking into a camera for like an hour and a half.
Yeah, he just looks at random crap.
Yeah. What did you say? Has a silly goose time.
Yeah, that's right.
But I was listening to that this morning, and he's like, I don't know why I'm getting super emotional over this. Like, it's crazy. And but he said he's one of those guys that's just never had like a scandal attached to him. Same as and then also like they're talking about he never had sons, and his daughter, like people would always say in the press, oh, what's your big legacy plan? Like, are you sad that you never had a son that you could train up to be a basketballer? And his daughter would sometimes chime in and be like, no. I'm the legacy plan. Like, so she was an up and coming women's basketballer.
Yeah. I think from what I heard recently, it was like they were even, I think part of the trip was they were meant to be going to a game for like her.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool as well. I think he championed like women's sport as well and everything like that. Yeah. It's pretty full on.
Yeah. It's a big deal because like women's basketball is just kind of shaping up and taking form, but obviously it pales in comparison to the money that's found in NBA.
Yeah.
But yeah, for someone like that, like a legend of, the NBA men's basketball, to be such a champion of women's basketball as well.
Yeah.
I think that definitely endeared him to a whole bunch of other people as well. It wasn't just about him and men's basketball and his legacy in men's basketball. It was about basketball and sport and people getting the opportunity to, I guess, play a game that they love, regardless of gender.
It transcends just being good at the game, isn't it? Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Yeah.
Actually loving the game.
Yeah. So are you an NBA fan?
I try to be. I mean, I was watching a game before I came here, just the Celtics versus the Heat.
Oh yeah,
so
Brisbane Heat.
No, not the Brisbane Heat. Brisbane Heat are trash. The Big Bash
League. Who's the Heat over there?
Miami.
Oh, Miami.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, where LeBron was back in the day.
Yeah,
when he won a couple of championships.
Where's he now? He's
the Lakers.
Because old mate Kobe, I shouldn't have said old
mate. No,
Kobe. I don't know why I say that so often in the most inappropriate times. I don't know. Is that inappropriate? I guess
probably just because of the recency of it.
Yeah. Well, I'll probably release this in a couple of weeks.
Oh, okay. It'll probably be all right then.
Yeah. But he was at LeBron's game because he had just overtaken him as like the
third all
record.
time. Leading
like
point
3,000. No, 33,000 points.
33,000 or something ridiculous. It's insane. But when they play as many games as they do in a season, like 82 games a season.
That's nuts. I never realized
playoffs.
That. Yeah.
which are all best of 7.
How many is that a week? Like two a week, 3 a week?
Yeah, I think it's something like that, 2 or 3 a week. It'd have to be because the season's like from end of October till like end of May.
Why do they play so many? It's just a thing.
More money, I presume.
Yeah, true.
Like you think about it.
I suppose because they're not in like huge stadiums. Like they're in big rooms, but
it's not like the MCG where you get 100,000 people though. It's like 20.
Yeah, so the more you do, the more ticket sales you get.
Well, and then TV, advertising, all that sort of stuff as well.
Mm.
And I think they can because while basketball is a physical game, it's not quite as demanding as, say, the NFL over there where they have like 16, 17 game seasons, but it's like literally just 200, 300-pound guys running flat out into each other and smashing each other.
And their games go for about 12 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. Or like AFL here, like where there's heaps of tackling and full on, like you're running flat chat. Most AFL players will run somewhere between 15 and 18 kilometers a game.
Yeah, that's
I don't know what the stats are for the NBA, but again, like length of time.
Yeah.
Subbing in and out. While it's still short bursts and there's still incredible athletic abilities, it's probably less strenuous on the body.
Yeah, it's less. This is me as a graphic designer and engineer.
Yeah, me as a pastor.
Talking about the physical aspects of an athlete. So chewed out.
But I mean, if they can do back-to-back games, like because Miami did today, they were talking about it because they were always going, "Oh, this team's fresh compared to this team, which is coming off a back-to-back, so that'll be a factor in the fourth quarter," or that all those sort of things. But I figure if you can play a sport one day and then play it again the next, it mustn't be too taxing physically on your body.
And I remember, I think it was actually Kobe Bryant. I listened to, I did. It was a Tim Ferriss podcast. I'm sure it was Kobe Bryant and his trainer. And his trainer apparently is like really elusive, like doesn't do interviews very often or anything. But his recovery, the way that he did recovery and everything was like really, I think it was LeBron James.
Yeah, I was about to say LeBron's like renowned for his stuff.
Yeah, I think it was
he
LeBron.
spends millions of dollars a year on his body.
Yeah. And like he has naps throughout, like after training, for instance, he'll go home and has like a specific time to nap and the aircon has to be at a specific temperature. Yeah. And that's how he's continued to, like he's one of the oldest guys on the teams, I think.
And I think it's like 35.
Yeah. That's like super old for sports, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, who's the oldest guy? Is it Vince Carter who's playing in the NBA at the moment? He just set a record for the most seasons played. He's like 40, 41 or something like that, maybe even 42. Like,
that's awesome.
Yeah, he's still dunking too, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, because like in sports equivalent, that's like a 50-year-old, 60-year-old. Hey, like when you think of like,
it's like someone in a business career being 75 and still crushing it.
Like
as
a lot of
CEO
soccer players,
like
they're like, oh, he's getting older, and then you like Wikipedia him, you're like, dude, he's 28.
Yeah.
He's younger than I am. And he's about to retire. What am I doing?
I mean, that's why they get paid so much money, though. You think about, like, LeBron, it's like, well, he can play NBA for, like, 17 seasons and then retire and then never have to do anything again for the rest of his life if he didn't want to. He could sit on the couch and just live off the interest.
Yeah.
It's just in his savings account, let alone, like, any investments he's got.
It's another world, hey.
Yeah.
But then you go, a lot of them, their overheads are so high now as well. Like, the rent or the insurance on a house or a car or 12 cars.
Yeah, just 12 cars.
Yeah, like it's just nuts. Like imagine I got a private jet, awesome. Now I got to put fuel in it and pay rego.
Yeah, well, I wonder what the rego is for
on a private jet. I don't know. Well, I'll tell you in about 10 years.
Well, I was about to say, this is where you need like that Joe Rogan guy who just like does all the research while they're live talking.
To
find out how much it is to register a private jet.
I should get Denny. She can take a day off and just Google things for us on YouTube.
That'd be super helpful.
She'd love that. I want to get one of those little like soundboard things where I could just play stupid noises. Go back to the 90s.
What, just while you're interviewing people?
Yeah.
So you're just chatting away and then...
No, like you incorporate it into the chat, obviously. Like it might be like, I don't know, you say something that's a bit gangster, so you play like a Tupac reference or something. Why am I bringing up all the deceased celebrities?
What about Post Malone?
Yeah, oh man, I've been digging him recently.
Yeah, have you?
Yeah, I've been is it Hollywood's Bleeding?
Yeah.
Man, I love that album.
Yeah, it's a good album.
So good. I hadn't I'd listened to like his singles, or I don't know if you call them singles, like the top ones on Spotify. But then the other day, you know, when you listen to something and then you just let it play through.
Oh yeah, it just goes straight on to the next thing, which is the most recent
and
album.
before I knew it, I was like, oh, this is good stuff. And then I looked it up and was like, this is a good album. And then in the way that I do things, I probably haven't stopped listening to that album now for like a week, I reckon. Yeah, it's good. My problem is I do it to death though. Like I'll be so sick of Post Malone in a couple of days, I reckon. I'm not good in moderation at all.
Yeah, okay. So you just go all out. It's like literally it. And then after 2 weeks, you're like, all right, I never want to listen to him ever again.
Yeah. And I put things in I don't know, I have playlists on Spotify. And so every time I hear a good song, I like it and then add it to a playlist. But then I listen to it so much that when I listen to that playlist, I'm like, ugh, skip this song. And I just skip all the songs. I'm like, why do I hate all these songs that I put in a liked playlist? That's because I've listened to them like 20,000 times.
Way too many times, yeah. Well, at least you're supporting all those artists.
Yeah.
If you think about it.
I should get paid for that.
Yeah, you should. I mean, you probably they probably have a little spike when you all of a sudden it's like, oh, Richo's into them now. And they get a little spike in their royalty fees from Spotify.
Well, what was I listening to? I was listening to something about how nowadays how to get like a record label or how to get big as a musician. And Spotify playlists have a huge pull on it. So
as in the playlists.
Yeah,
so the ones that people curate and create themselves.
There's certain playlists. I can't remember who was talking about this. Someone that was high up in the record label, in the record industry, and they were like, I'm not going to name who it is, but there's a certain playlist that are the most listened to ones in the world, and if you make it to that playlist, that's when people go, oh, hang on, maybe this person is worth taking a risk on or having a crack, which is that's totally different to how it used to be.
Yeah.
But I guess it makes sense. That's where people are listening to music, finding new music.
That's true. And because it kind of does the work for the record labels rather than trying to find someone out there, they kind of let it organically happen and go, this is what people are listening to. These artists, let's get them.
Yeah.
Because obviously something they're doing, their sound at the moment is resonating with people.
I think it was also from memory they were talking about that's how you get onto a lot of these radio stations as well. Triple J Unearthed, for instance, is probably a bit different where you upload directly to the station, but to it was in America, this guy was talking to get on some of these big American radio stations, they want to see you come through the Spotify first so that people are already starting to listen to you. And they go, because they want to go make sure that you're actually going to get listened to because then they can get revenue off it. So pretty interesting.
It's really interesting.
I'd never thought about it at all.
No, it's funny how Spotify changed everything for listeners, but it's also, I guess it was always going to change things for record labels, but interesting how they're using it.
Yeah, I don't know how good it is for the artist. I don't know if they get much money out of it.
No, I read somewhere crazy. It was it takes 5,000 Spotify streams or something to equal one album sale, physical album sale.
Yeah,
which is ridiculous.
That's crazy. That's a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was going to say, there's no way, if I bought one album, there's no way I'm going to listen to it 5,000 times on a streaming service.
No.
I'm never going to be paying the artist as much as I used to.
I was pretty close, I reckon, with
when you do your 2 to 3 weeks of just spamming it over.
Yeah.
And
Well,
over
do you pay for Spotify? Do you have a Spotify?
Well, I use Apple Music.
Oh,
I'm an Apple guy.
You're one of those guys.
Yeah.
I haven't actually used it, so I shouldn't judge it. But Spotify, they did an end of year roundup thing where it came up with how Facebook does those little memory things where it's and a little video made out of your photos. They had done that with all the music that you'd listen to.
Didn't they do the summary of your decade as well if you'd been on there for a while?
Yeah. And so my most listened to, I took photos of it, screenshots, because I was surprised, was my the 1975, the band. They were my most listened to band. And there was a song, She's American, which I'd listened to for 19 hours. And I was like,
one song for 19 hours.
It's crazy. That's a lot of She's American. I really like that song.
How long's the song?
I don't know, like 4 or 5 minutes. That's nuts, eh?
Well, do you want to do the math on how many times you played it?
Oh, we could try.
Let's say it's
I'm
5
not the
minutes.
person to talk to about
Let's say
maths.
5 minutes. And so that means 12 times in an hour. So 12 times 19. 12 times 10 is 120. 12 times 20, 240. 228 times, roughly. Which actually, that's not as many as I thought.
No.
When you said 19 hours, I was
we
like,
shouldn't
it
have
must have
worked
been.
it out.
No, I thought it was going to be
That can't
2,000.
be right. 19 hours. Oh, let's not bore people with this. But yeah, that's
again where you need that person like do the math for you, and we keep talking. They're like, no, it is. It's 228.
maybe
cool.
maybe by my like 100th episode, I'll have that, and I'll have a studio that doesn't have lots of plants in it.
I don't know. I think the plants is a nice touch.
Well,
It's meant to boost productivity.
Well, in fact, if we're being honest, the plant was over in that corner over there. But I looked and I went, I'm going to do some styling here. Never done some styling.
Well, it looks good.
Oh, thanks, man. And I've got this here to match the plant. So,
Oh, really?
No.
Oh, I was going to say.
No.
I thought you were just being nice with the lime juice,
I
but
don't
really
care.
you just like, I just want a colour theme throughout my whole shop.
I don't care about that sort of stuff, to be honest.
The plant is a nice touch, though.
Yeah, it is.
Just slightly aesthetically pleasing.
Nice. That's all Danny's work, obviously.
Yeah, of
None
course.
of mine. Yeah, I reckon if it was up to me, you'd just have all fake ones. But
Oh, so that's a real one.
yeah, it's all you see.
Yeah, actually, yeah, you can see that.
It was for the people listening. We're looking at a plant right now.
This is why you need to watch it on YouTube.
Yeah, we're filming this one, by the way. It's a fiddle fig and it's a bit dead, but then it's getting lighter. But anyway, we're running out of things to talk about, obviously. Have you seen the new Star Wars movie yet?
Yeah, I did.
What'd you think about it?
I kind of liked it.
Yeah. See, that's my problem with it. You kind of liked it, hey?
Yeah. Well, I feel like true Star Wars fans aren't meant to like it. And not that I would classify myself as a true Star Wars fan.
No,
I didn't dress
neither
up to go to the
would
midnight
I.
screening.
No.
But I do enjoy the Star Wars movies. And I didn't mind it. I thought,
It was enjoyable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And look, it was always going to be relatively predictable because you knew it was going to end the saga. So you knew somehow people were going to die. And that somehow the good guys would win in some form or another.
Yeah. That was a shock to me. George Lucas, what are you doing?
Oh, no. So it was just one of those things where it's like, I don't know what everyone's complaining about, really.
No.
If it was really similar to the other Star Wars where it's like, there's some big leaps in the plot.
Oh, some huge leaps. Eh?
But that was all of them,
Yeah. I think for me, so I'm not a massive Star Wars fan, but I grew up watching them. Well, I didn't grow up watching the original ones, but they've been
1,
a
2,
part
and 3
of my,
you watched.
Yeah, they've been a part of my childhood and adolescence and then adulthood. I don't know why I said it like that. But the things that I don't like in a movie like that are where it's just like blatantly just stupid. Like, and one of the examples that I'll give you is, do you know in the movie, and there's spoilers alert, people. But
if you haven't watched it by now, you're not watching it.
Yeah, don't do it. No, do it anyway.
Yeah.
Luke Skywalker, right? So he's a freaking ghost now, cruising around on the islands. Yeah, and then she throws her lightsaber, and he catches it, and so you're like, well, hang on, okay, now Ghost, he's now caught the lightsaber, so he can obviously interact with the world. Why the heck isn't he helping them?
Why don't they go, hey, Luke,
go
why don't
and
you
kill
just
some people?
kill this guy?
Yeah.
Because, actually, now that you've said that, like, surely a ghost doesn't need a jet to get around. Like, he can just appear in certain places and...
Well, even if he doesn't need a jet, there's a jet in his X-Wing fighter.
Oh, yeah, true. That was submerged.
Is right there. Fly it. You're already dead anyway, and go and kill the dude. Like, if it doesn't work out, you've lost nothing anyway because you're already dead.
You've got me. And I mean, what would they do? Like, what's Palpatine going to do to him?
Exactly.
He's already dead.
I don't know. Yeah, things like that. And then
okay, that's fair.
the way that I watched the movie, then all I could think about was that. I'm like, why have they done that? But Yeah. I think my problem was I was like, this is the end of like 40 years or whatever of movies, and I came out. So I went and saw it by myself on a Saturday morning, which was riveting. um, I haven't seen a movie by myself. I don't think I've ever seen a movie by myself. It was an odd experience.
Really?
Yeah, it was like me and 3 other people in the cinemas,
Just chilling.
and the trailers didn't come up, so it was at 9:45 on a Saturday morning, I think, and got to like us. I went and got coffee, got a bag of Maltesers. I'm like, I'm going to eat half the Maltesers, and then like before the movie had started, pretty much the whole bag was gone. But nothing. So nothing came up, like no trailers or anything, and it was like 5:10, and I was like, oh, hang on, this is a bit strange. And then some dude down the front is getting really annoyed. I don't know why. Like we're sitting in aircon. It was beautiful, and
I want to see ads. Show me ads.
Yeah, because the music, what kept happening is, you know how they play music in the background? That would like stop. And that's when I thought, oh, okay, now the screen will start, but then the next song would come up. And like that happened like 3 or 4 times. And then it happened once more. And the dude like threw his arms up in the air. That's what triggered me when I was like, what's wrong with this guy? And then I was like, we're like been sitting here for 15 minutes. But anyway, then the lady came in. She's like, oh, sorry, guys. We're just resetting the system. Something wrong with it. And then she walked out, and then like 5 minutes later, it was like, you know, like the start of Star Wars, how it's like the writing.
Yeah.
Like, bam, that came up. And then the lights dimmed. So I was like,
had the curtains parted, or were they still like?
Oh, no, they were. Yeah, no, there were no curtains. The curtains were just already.
Which cinema did you go to?
Carindale.
The Event Cinemas in Carindale.
Yeah. I hadn't been
there.
there.
Shout out to Event Cinemas.
Yeah, shout out. Sponsored. Today's sponsor is Event Cinemas. Buy a popcorn. Yeah. Use the hashtag, not the hashtag, the discount code. I don't have a name for this podcast yet. This is going well. But yeah, I didn't have to watch any
well, that's handy.
Trailers.
The only thing, I'll be honest, I do like the movie trailers. Just to get a bit of a feel about what I'm going to go and see in the next couple of months.
Yeah.
I like that. I tend to bookmark a couple. Oh, yeah, I want to see that one. I want to see that one.
Yeah. We, the night on the Friday night before, with Danny and I, we went and saw Bombshell, you know, the movie about...
Oh, Fox News.
Fox News, like the sexual harassment one.
Yeah.
It was a good movie, but the trailers beforehand, they were all like horror movies. So there was this one called The Invisible Man. Have you seen the trailers for that? Terrifying.
I hate horror movies.
Me too, but I don't usually get like scared from them. Like I don't watch them very often, but even the trailers, I'm like, oh yeah, whatever. This trailer, it was horrendous. Like, so essentially the movie looks like it's a lady, she's getting abused by her husband, and the first scene was terrifying. And then all of a sudden they say, oh, your husband's killed himself or committed suicide. But then he starts like haunting her, and he's invisible now. So like you see like his breath when he's invisible and all. But she starts going crazy because of it. But everyone thinks that she's crazy. So yeah, so the whole cinema is like, what the heck are we doing? We just want to watch a movie. So that's happening. And then the next movie, so usually, you know, they would go really dark horror movie, then into like a nice happy trailer.
Yeah.
Break it up
a bit.
You know, give my emotions a rest. Straight away into another horror movie. And there was like an audible groan in the cinema where people were like, what is going on? It's like Friday night. We just want to have and we're in deluxe movie.
Was it Friday the 13th?
Oh, I have no idea.
That would maybe make some sense.
I don't think it was Friday the 13th though. But even if it was, like I was sitting there eating my chips and drinking my beer, and I'm like, I don't want to watch this stuff. But that was all they had. I don't remember them having any happy movies. And then we went straight into this Bombshell movie, which is quite emotionally taxing, I guess. Like it wasn't like a horror movie or anything. But we came out of that, I was exhausted.
Really?
And then I had
like
nightmares.
Emotionally intense.
Yeah, and then and
then you had nightmares.
And I don't think I've had a nightmare for a while. Not that I've remembered, but I like woke up a few times thinking about this invisible man coming up.
The damn invisible man.
Because we woke up in the morning and Jay's like, oh, how'd you sleep? I was like, not good. That invisible man was chasing me all night.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was terrifying.
Yeah.
Not on. So
They normally the ads are like at least a little bit in line with the
Yeah.
movies. You know what I mean? Like you go see a drama, you normally get a few dramas.
yeah, like see a comedy.
Yeah. Have you seen The Gentleman?
No, I want to see it.
Really
Really
good.
want to see it.
Really
Yeah.
good. Do recommend unless you're under 18 years of age.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's
And
Guy
even then,
Ritchie,
as a
isn't it?
pastor, there is some strong language that you need to be very aware of.
Yeah,
It's not as graphic violently, it's just very graphic with its
it's
language.
very British, isn't it?
Yeah, so there's a lot of the C
like
word.
Snatch and
Yeah.
Lock, Stock and Barrel.
Well, it's
Lock,
Guy
Stock and-
Ritchie.
Yeah, I really like Guy Ritchie.
Yeah. It's a great movie. Like I really enjoyed it, but it was quite confronting to your ears. It was
Yeah,
like
really.
the first couple times you're like, oh, did they say what I thought they said? Yep. And
Yeah,
it's
right.
regularly used.
Wow, because it's
Throughout
it's used a lot in Britain, isn't it? That word.
I guess so. Yeah, it must be.
It's very common. Well, I don't know if it's that common, but
I've never been, but
neither have I. This is all speculation. We've seen it on one
highly
movie.
speculative.
I'm hearing it through you. The third-hand knowledge that you saw it at a movie, therefore it must happen.
It must be commonplace.
Yeah, because Guy Ritchie's the director.
Yeah.
I saw we talk about Joe Rogan a lot on this podcast, which is a bit meta. But have you? There's it's a couple of years old now where Guy Ritchie's on his podcast, and I was
I
listening.
haven't seen that one.
Oh mate, it's so good. I was listening to it the other day. He's a fascinating dude. He goes on for like 15 minutes talking about the importance of wearing a suit and owning a suit. And afterwards, I was like, I think I want to buy a suit.
Like he made quite a compelling argument for it.
Yeah, like just the way he talks about, like, you know.
Was he obviously wearing a suit?
He was wearing like this super, like, you know, tailored suit or
Yeah.
whatever. And in his like awesome British accent, he talks about how like you have to own the suit and he's using it for like a metaphor for life. I think this is
Yeah.
what I got out of it. You know, and a good suit is like a suit of armor. So he's like, you know, the business world has stripped the suit of its power, whereas it used to be something that you would put on. And, you know, if you put on a really good suit, you feel confident, so he's like, that's kind of like the metaphor for life. Everybody should go watch this episode.
Yeah.
There's even a snippet just on YouTube because I'm butchering the crap out of this
Yeah.
right now. But
Because you can find those like Joe Rogan clips where it's like
Yeah.
he's 10 minutes on,
10 minutes on
Guy
the
Ritchie
suits.
talking about suits.
Yeah. But it was fascinating. He's an interesting guy. And he talks about like story, like the how in life, what does he talk about? In life, there's like two different dichotomies, which is like there's you and there's what you believe, and then there's what the world wants you to believe, and it's you trying to match those two up. And he talks about how like in every story, that's what is present in every single story. Like
Wow.
there's so that's I've wrecked that one again. But yeah, he talks about that, and that was fascinating because then he was talking about it as a storyteller, which is what he is. In every single story, that is present, and so that was during the time he did King Arthur. I think wrote and directed that.
Oh,
or
okay, yeah.
directed it. I don't think he wrote the story of King Arthur, but I'm sure he added stuff onto it. But he was talking about that's the main thing. But then you can go deeper and deeper,
Yeah.
and all these layers.
Wow.
So you are a smart individual.
That
He's
is.
been doing it for a while, I guess. But
Yeah. Wow.
yeah, fascinating guy.
Very fascinating.
And
Dude, I need to blow my nose.
go for it.
Yes.
I give you permission. This is exactly like when Luke had to go and let the dog out in the other one. You should just bring the tissue box over. Oh, you actually got to like legit blow it. He's gone, everybody.
This is where you do your sponsor spot.
Yeah, this is sponsored by Event Cinemas, Carindale. Tissues. No, I don't know. This is... Yeah, just bring it over. It's Kleenex.
Symphony.
Oh, yeah, awesome. That's a nice box, actually, isn't it?
This is the Symphony 228 facial tissues, 2-ply, 20 centimeters by 19.5 centimeters. They're low lint, beautifully soft to the touch, and yet super strong. Now available in an exciting new range of on-trend designer boxes.
Use discount code Richard's Podcast to get 32 boxes for the price of $5.79.
That sounds expensive.
No, $5.79.
Yeah, for all 32 boxes?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's steal.
That's why you listen to this podcast. Steals like that don't come along too often.
No, that's going to be a killer deal during winter.
Have you read the book Grit at all?
No, I've been wanting to. It's on my Goodreads want to read list. Yeah.
What's Goodreads?
Goodreads is like a website / an app. Hang on, I'll show you on my phone. This is also sponsored by Goodreads. Where it's like meet your next favorite book and you can search titles, authors and stuff, and you collect all the books that you've read.
Yeah.
And then you can create lists of like, here's what I want to read. Here's the books that I've read. And then you could do other ones.
That's
you could
a
do
good
like
idea.
leadership.
Because I just have
Faith.
a notes thing.
Yeah.
Because you hear so often you hear a book, oh, you should read this. Or,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, right.
So now I just put it in here, which is sweet. And you can do reading challenges. So like I read 12 books in 2019. I was trying to read 26 this year.
Yeah, nice.
You know, that sort of stuff. And you can even import, if you use Kindle, your notes and your highlights
All right.
into Goodreads.
Yeah.
I don't use Kindle that much though. But
No.
it seems like a good idea.
Yeah, a lot of people I know, all they do is read ebooks.
Yeah. I hate that though.
Yeah.
Because I want to have a massive library collection. And you can't have, it's not the same putting like one Kindle in there, even if it's got 10,000 books on it.
Yeah, exactly. Just a whole bunch of different SD cards with the books on them or something.
That's right.
Like
Here's
your
my
library's
library.
like this long, but it's actually like 1,000
But
books.
yeah, literally it's like 10,000 books there or something.
Yeah.
You're like, it's just not
Yeah,
the same.
and I'm old school as well. I do like holding a book
Yeah,
for some
agreed.
reason. Like I listen to the audiobooks every now and again. Like they're so good for just on the run or, not running, but like,
I think they're good for like if you want to make sure you're exposing yourself to lots of content. Like if you're like, oh, I just want to make sure I'm learning. But yeah, I'm with you. It's like physical book and you can highlight and write notes in it.
Yeah.
I think I remember it a little bit better physically.
Yeah.
Rather
Me
than-
too, I think. Because I'm a slow reader though. Like, especially like this Grit book, for instance, it's all.
So you're reading that now?
I'm about halfway through it. There's like it's all psychological stuff as well.
Yeah.
Like, so there's so many words in there that I'm like, I got to get the thesaurus out. I don't know what this is or whatever. That you just Google it. But because of that, I then I'll read a page and I'm like, oh, I don't fully understand it. I'll read that again. Whereas I've tried audio booking a few books like that, and you hear all these words. Before you know it, they're now onto another topic. So I've sat there trying to figure out what that word actually means. But now I'm like, oh, crap, I've missed all that part.
Yeah, gotcha.
And I'm not the sort of person that can kind of skim through something or read something without knowing what was the chapter beforehand. If you know what I mean? Like I can't start watching a movie halfway through, or I can't watch a movie and then go out for 5 minutes and come back and just continue on like where it is. I have to rewind it. I'm like,
You have to go back to where you were.
Yeah, it's all part of the story.
Yeah.
And like in a book, especially some of these books, like it all leads up into that as well. But no, it's a good book, man. I'd recommend it.
Yeah, I'll have to read it. What was the best book you read last year?
I read a book, or I didn't actually fully finish it. It's somewhere here. I've got to finish it. Sapiens.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Oh, it's got a funny. Yeah.
He's the one he's got like 2 or 3 now.
Yeah, he's got, and they're all similar to that. Like,
Yeah,
there's like
because Sapiens is
it's like the brief history,
history,
of humankind. Then there's like, I think it's Homo Deus or something.
yeah,
Homo
which is
Deus.
like the future. I think it's
Homo
Deus.
Deus or something. Yeah. Thing.
Yeah, I've bought that book. I haven't read it yet though.
Yeah, it's one of those books. It's really, I bought it at the airport thinking, oh, I'll smash this out on a plane. I got like two chapters in. I was like, oh, this is going to take me some time to get through. Not because it's bad, but it's quite and it's not, I don't know how to explain it. It's not heavy in that it's like really like sad or anything. It's just a lot of information.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, oh man, it's fascinating. So I've got to the part essentially where they we go into like domesticated farming, like where we've now started farming. So they've gone from
How far is that through the book?
maybe, I don't think it's that far.
Like a third?
Maybe halfway actually.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Because, but yeah, like it's really fascinating around the whole, like when he talks a lot around like hunter-gatherers and Neanderthals and that sort of thing, and how there's actually three different. So I've always thought that there was like a hunter-gatherer, and that was just this one specific species, if you know what I mean. Like, and then it kind of became the human, or once they migrated. But he talks about how, in actual fact, they were split across sort of three different areas, and the Homo sapiens were the smartest out of all of them, and so that's why we flourished as a.
Oh, that's interesting.
It is interesting. It's a challenge. Like, obviously, with what I've grown up with my faith and everything.
I was gonna say, it must be difficult, like as Christian.
Yeah,
kind of, God created the world.
Yeah,
but then how does all this stuff fit together?
I'm probably not necessarily like a literal creationist. I think in my theology, and I've probably researched it. I've researched it a fair bit, but not. I haven't researched it enough to come to the point where I'm like, this is what happened. Like, but the thing is, you're like, there's no denying as well that there's a lot of science out there that is, and so you're like, well, that they don't necessarily, they're not mutually exclusive. Like, they can come together.
Never. Yeah.
But yeah, it was interesting. Like, I just never really thought about that. Yeah, it's really fascinating, that book, and just the whole thing around like, one of the biggest things that kind of hit me was I was always brought up thinking this whole hunter gathering was, it was just a means to an end. But then when they discovered fire, for instance, and then they discovered farming, that was like a big breakthrough for civilization. It was actually like became the first thing that kind of enslaved us, because like hunter-gatherers, they didn't actually have to work that hard. Like they were part of a big community, like a big tribe of people. They would go on like a big hunt, kill everything they needed, and then they'd just be like chilling out underneath in the shade for a while until they were hungry again. And
they'd eaten all of their food.
And they'd eaten all again, and then they'd go and eat something else.
Wow.
But then when it comes to farming, people are like, oh, grain, best thing ever. What they didn't realize is that
not for gluten-free people.
Not for gluten-free people. That's true. Yeah. No, but like you can't just move if you have a farm, like a grain field. You can't just go and move somewhere else.
Of course, you got a fixed location where your grain is that you got to manage.
It's all seasonal now. If a big storm comes and wipes it all out, you're stuffed. Whereas if a storm came, you would just go and find another deer, like this sort of thing. Yeah, it was really interesting. And then that became this whole, there was like no real as much class in hunter-gathering, but then as soon as corporatized farming came along, well, I guess that's what you call it. Not corporatized farming, just farming.
Yeah, but farming in general, because all of a sudden people would own land and be like, this is my grain.
Yeah,
that's your grain. And if your grain doesn't survive, but mine does, then you need some of mine.
So suddenly there are a lot more wars going on.
Yeah,
a lot more fights going on. There's a lot more like slavery, because now this person, they don't own the land, but they need to eat, so they can come and do go and do work in the field for a certain amount of food and a certain amount of money.
Yeah,
so now they're controlled by that. Yeah, really interesting.
That is really interesting.
That's as far as.
So really, we should stop eating like any grain food, not just because gluten's bad, but because just started slavery.
Just anything that's farmed is really. I've got off anything that's made that is.
So even like farmed chickens,
anything that I can't catch myself.
You got a pretty flourishing backyard out there, though. So
I just weeded it. I just
in anticipation for growing your own
for
food.
the harvest.
Wow.
But no, that's probably the best book, I reckon.
Yeah.
It all rolls into one. I read a lot of books last year, actually. Yeah, that's the one I can think of. That's probably the one that's
Yeah, like stands out to you, obviously.
Yeah. Oh no, actually, that's not the best one. The best one I read was The Third Door. That's an awesome book.
The Third Door.
Yeah, so it's called The Third Door. It's written by
Is it like fantasy or fiction or?
non-fiction. So it's almost like a business book in a way. So it's written by a guy. I was just listening to him yesterday, and I can't remember his name. But if you Google The Third Door, his name will pop up.
I'm going to put in my Goodreads.
Yeah, just if you Google it now, the Third Door book. It's what's his name? So essentially what the book's about is he was a student and he wanted
The wild quest to uncover how the world's most successful people launch their careers.
Yeah.
Alex Banayan.
Banayan or something? Banayan? Something like that.
Yeah, it's like banana but with a Y.
Yeah. But it's not how I heard it pronounced yesterday, and it's not how you would think it is. But essentially the coolest part was he dropped out of uni and he needed some money. And so he saw that the Price's Wheel of Fortune was on.
Yeah.
No, The Price is Right. Yeah, the one how you have to guess.
What the cost of things are.
So he's like, I wonder how you win it. Like, I wonder if there's a formula for winning The Price is Right. So he sat there and studied as many episodes as he possibly could. And he looked at all the different constants. So he's like, oh, all the contestants, they're always wearing bright coloured clothes. Because, it's one of those ones how you get picked out from the crowd. So he's like, they're always wearing bright coloured clothes. And there was always a certain percentage of pricing. So he's like, oh, it's always within, say, $50 of this amount for each different tier. So he studied all that. And then he figured out a way that he could get himself in. And so, as soon as he got in, he made up some story about, I need to go and speak to one of the producers or an assistant or something. So instantly, in the crowd of all these people, he made, put a face to his name sort of thing. So he was recognizable, and then he worked his way through. Anyway, he got on Price is Right and figured out how to hack it and won everything. And then
That's awesome.
Won a boat and sold the boat, and then that was the money. From that money is what he was able to live on, while he then used that sort of same thinking wrote this book, and where he interviewed all these different people. So he figured out how to get into Bill Gates' office, not he didn't break in obviously, but through and he had a lot of failures along the way, a lot of emails that just weren't replied to and this sort of thing. But he just, by using logic and also, thinking outside the box, he figured out how to meet all these different people.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. And so the third door comes from, he's like, if in any situation and in anything, there's always a third way in, a third possibility. So he's think of any sort of club, there's always the front door where everybody's lined up and they're paying their money to get in. Then there's the VIP section where you just rock up, but you have to have some status. So he's I'm not going to get into either of those ones. But down the alleyway where the kitchen is, there's probably a door there. So if I can get to know one of the cooks or something, maybe he'll be able to let me in the back way, sort of thing. So that's the analogy.
Cool thinking. Yeah.
So he's you can use that thinking for any situation. There's always another way in than the most logical way. Really interesting.
Yeah,
book.
that's awesome. That's
but
really cool.
It's written really well. He writes it. He writes it as a real story, and I heard about it because, do you know Kel Fussman at all?
No.
So he's a super interesting guy. I think he became quite famous. He used to write a column in Esquire magazine for years and years, where he would do, I think it was where he would just talk to somebody, short sort of interviews that they do in magazines. And he has a podcast I listen to as well that I listened to through Tim Ferriss. So he told him to start this podcast. But this Alex guy, the guy who wrote that book, he really wanted to talk to Larry King. And Larry King, so you know who Larry King is?
Yeah.
He and Cal Fussman are like really good friends, and they have breakfast together most mornings. So every single morning, Larry King has breakfast with the same bunch of guys, and I think Cal Fussman goes along all the time. Anyway, this guy figured out how to have breakfast with Larry King, meets Cal Fussman, who's like a prolific writer, and he agrees to like mentor him through the writing process of it, this sort of thing.
Wow.
Yeah, really interesting. And like that was another example of like the third door.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, it's really quite interesting. And the reason that I heard about that yesterday is because on this Cal Fussman's podcast, this is like this weird. It's like Memento, the movie.
Yeah.
He have you heard of Dutch Bros at all? They're like a big coffee company.
Oh yeah.
Like
I've heard of them.
yeah. So this Cal Fussman, he had like an end of year episode where he's like, we're going to end on just like a nice story, and so Alex, whatever his name is, Banana Man, he is now speaking it like he's a public speaker. So he was this Dutch Bros. They have like a big offsite that they do every year, and they rented out some basketball site, like one of the big NBA stadiums, for all their thousands of Brewsters. And so this guy came to speak, and they had a question time at the end, and he was like way out of time. He's like, my timer was counted down; it was going red because it was saying you have to get off stage right now. And he said, "Okay, one more question." And there's this girl, I think her name was Amanda, and she had just found out, like just been called from her university saying, hey, you know how that grants that we we're going to give you, all that scholarship, we can't give it to you anymore. Like they had just pulled it from her sort of thing. So she's freaking out. She's like, I don't know how I'm going to do uni. She's going to become an events planner, and but she's a barista. That's why she's at this thing. So anyway, she gets up to ask this question, and what her question was going to be was, is it even worth me going to finish studying as an events planner and get into debt, or should I just risk it and, start doing it myself, similar to what this guy had done? She gets up and then she starts off by talking about how she just pulled this scholarship sort of thing. So she's talking, Alex goes, firstly, just so you know, there's thousands of people here who love you and they want to help you. And then somebody yells out, like, what's your Venmo? You know, like
Yeah.
And then she's like, I don't even know what my Venmo is. And he's like, are we doing this? Like, let's just say people like yelling out, give us your Venmo. And she's like, he gets her to read it out to the crowd. They put it up on the screen. And she got like $6,500.
Holy moly.
Like, right there, sort of thing. Like, but he was talking about that's another example of like a third door, you know?
That's true.
Like she didn't intentionally do that.
No.
But
which is probably why it worked.
Yeah, but she looked at that situation and went, this is hopeless. Like she was tearing up. Like it was pretty like an emotional story. She's like crying, but within like 10 minutes, the problem was solved, you know? Like super interesting.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that's the book I remember the most. That was a good book. You should read that when you get a chance.
Yeah, I added it to my want to read list.
Really cool. I've got them all, so you can borrow them. But then you won't be able to build your library.
Yeah, so no.
That's the problem.
Sorry. Thanks for the offer, though.
The other one I've just bought, so I've got to finish Grit before I get to it, is Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. Have you heard of that guy?
No.
Oh, mate. This is all I do at work is listen to these people.
I'll have to listen to him for sure.
He's a ex-Navy SEAL. This dude is
like jacked.
Massive, yeah. He'd be like, I don't know how old he is. You can never tell with like he looks maybe like late 40s, mid 40s. I don't know. Maybe he's a bit older. But he did all these. He was involved in the Battle of Ramadi, which was in Afghanistan, I believe. Could be wrong. It's either Afghanistan or Iraq. I'm not too sure. Just fact checked me on that one. And he was so successful in that. Like it was a real terrible battle. But he ended up being the trainer of all the special forces throughout America. So he got quite high up in leadership.
Yeah, that's incredible.
And anyway, he retired from the military, and he now has a leadership company with a a bunch of other guys, and they really got really well. He got super famous by being on, I think it was on Tim Ferriss's podcast or something. Now he has his own podcast, but his whole thing is like all about like discipline equals freedom. So it's like, you know, by having a disciplined life and having rules that you put in place for yourself, you actually get freedom from that because you don't have to think about stuff, you know, like, so one of his things on Instagram, he often puts up his watch, like his digital watch, a picture, and it's like 4 a.m. He's working out sort of thing. But he's like, that's discipline because then I feel good for the rest of the day, you know, like, so.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, so it's really interesting. But the whole extreme ownership, I need to read the book, but he essentially is like, you need to take full ownership for your entire life. Like, there's no excuses. Like, if you want something to change, it's up to you.
Oh, totally.
You know, like,
that's good. That's really good.
So it should be interesting.
Yeah, that'd be a great read.
Yeah, and it's got like, you know, I like those books when you open them up and they've got like bigger words. Like they're not. It's not like
Yes, it's not too small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
definitely.
This would be a good one.
Yeah, it'll be an easy read.
Yeah, but no, that's a good book. His podcast is cool. It's just him and this dude called Echo, who's like this other massive jack.
What a sweet name.
Yeah,
Echo.
I know. It's like it's a name that you. If it was anybody else, I would be like, I can't take you seriously. But then when you see this guy, you're like, yeah, I can take you seriously.
Yeah. I'll call you whatever you want me to call you.
Yeah. But and it's like all black and white. And they just sitting at a desk pretty much. But then they often have like guys from the military come in or other people come in and talk about this sort of stuff. And it
That's awesome.
always relates back to leadership. And yeah, super interesting.
That's really cool. I like that idea though.
Mm.
That extreme ownership stuff.
Yeah. Apparently it's if you can kind of grab hold of that and really embed it in your psyche, it's a very powerful thing.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, I remember what was it? I was just talking with someone about some situations and circumstances that were going on with family members of theirs. And I just remember thinking to myself, it's like, you know, you can either choose to be a part of like the victory of, you know, like overcoming whatever it is that you're facing, or you can just choose to be a victim of what's going on around you.
Yeah.
And when you choose to like be involved in the victory, actually it's that sense of I'm taking some agency. I admit and acknowledge that I can do something about this situation. And I don't know, just like my reflections on that and some stuff going on recently has just reminded me that idea with like us and God. You know, some people will get angry at God because of certain situations that are happening around them, but I'm so often like, I think it's you. Like, I think it's actually you that you should be angry at.
Yeah.
It's easy to blame God, but it's not him. It's you. You've made some dumb decisions. You haven't trained hard enough. You haven't practiced hard enough. You did this, and you can see that the flow and effect has led you here. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I struggle to have it's something I need to work on, but I struggle to have sympathy. And I don't know if sympathy is the right word, but for people that play the victim all the time.
No.
Just because you're you literally, you're never going to, if you have that mentality, nothing is ever going to change.
No. Nothing will change.
And I understand it's obviously there are legitimate victims out there of bad crap does happen to people. That's undeniable. But like for the, you know, oh, I lost my job. And then you sit in a wallow of that for 6 months. And you're like, well, they shouldn't have sacked me. Like, well, one, maybe you got sacked for a reason. Two, even if it's totally unfair, get up and get another job.
Yeah, sitting on the couch complaining about it doesn't change it. You're not getting your job back.
Yeah, flip that and go, you know what? They fired me for no reason. I'm a good worker. Go, right, I'm going to go and work somewhere else, and I'm going to prove to this person what they're missing. Show them what they're missing.
Exactly. Go and crush it at some other place and then have them realize, oh, why did we fire that guy? Like, he's been killing it.
Yeah,
maybe we made the wrong decision.
Yeah.
Yeah. And look at it as an opportunity in all of that. Maybe actually it was the wake-up call that you needed, or it opened up some other opportunity that now you get to step into to do some other job that you really love because, you know, maybe you were just sitting dead end at that job because you had it. You know, sometimes you don't change jobs because you're just comfortable with the job that you have.
Yeah.
And so you miss out on opportunities and stepping into new things.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I can't get around that whole woe is me victim sort of mindset. Just doesn't achieve anything.
And I think it also helps, and it sounds like I was never brought up in that space either. Like my parents, to their credit, they're both so much like, get back up, keep doing it. You know, like, which at the time, like there were times where I was like, you don't even know what I'm going through. Like,
yeah, as a teenager.
You have no idea.
Life's so tough, Mum.
You have no idea. You're going to pay all these bills, but that's nothing compared to what I'm going through.
My friends don't like me.
Yeah, this girl who I've been dating for 5 minutes, I think she likes my best friend. We've never talked to each other. We've never kissed or anything, but, you know, my life's over. Anyway.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's like.
But the problem is you see adults that are still acting like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so sad.
It is
sad, but then the other side of me is like, more opportunity for me to dominate.
Well, I will take all of your opportunities and make them mine. Yeah.
My dad used to always say, he's like, it doesn't take that much to be above average anymore. So he's like,
that's such a good one.
Because he's like, you know, you can either look at the world, because he sometimes used to kind of rant a bit about, you know, look at what the world's going to like hell in a handbasket.
Yeah.
Sort of thing, you know. But then he would say, well, I guess if you look at it the other way, there's more opportunity for the rest of us now. Like, he's like, you got all these, you know, we used to drive, this is terrible. We used to drive past like Macca's or something, and you'd see someone who's like enormous with like a Big Mac in one hand and a large Coke or something.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, at least there's more opportunity for the rest of us fit people. Or he's like, if you ever, he's like, it's going to be easier to get into the Olympics in a couple of years, isn't it? And that's me as like a 6-year-old, 7-year-old. Like, oh, thanks, Dad.
It's good life advice. Far out.
But it's true. Yeah.
Some people just don't change.
Yeah.
They want things to change, but aren't willing to do the hard work to make it happen.
No. And one of the big, I guess, for this year as well, like on that, the big sort of mantra, I guess. I hate that. I don't know why I use mantra. I've never ever used that word in my life.
Well, tell us what your mantra is.
Theme,
anyway.
I think, is like this whole idea of like progression over perfection.
Yeah.
So like even with this podcast, for instance, I did like 4 or 5 episodes last year. It was a long time ago. You were on one of them.
Yeah,
and
it was great.
That was awesome. It was great, you know. And I think I did like 5 of them. But then I like compared myself to these podcasts I listened to. I'm like, they're not like this. They're like
I'm no
this.
Joe Rogan.
So I stopped. Idiot. But it's like, well, hang on. Just keep, you know, you might get to episode 120 before people really start to take notice. But I'm enjoying it. Like, as long as the guests that come on are having fun and learning from it as well. Like, I just got to keep doing it, you know, and talking to interesting people and things like that. But I think that's something for every part of life, you know. It's all about progression, you know. And if you can look back even if you look back yesterday and go, okay, I've done that a little bit better today, you're winning. You know?
Yeah, that's good. That's a really good theme. Because it is that, like, perfectionism just stops you from doing stuff because you're always like, I'm not quite ready yet, or I'm not quite there yet, or this product isn't ready yet, or this idea isn't fully formed yet. But it's never going to be. Like, you can always find faults or holes or any of that sort of stuff, but you just got to get out there and
just do it.
Give it a crack and see what happens. And you actually learn from it because once it's out there, you actually get the feedback that you need to make it better. Definitely. Rather than just letting it sit in your own head. And because there's things that you think are a problem or things that you think are getting in the way of you being able to do it or why you're not ready. And no one else sees that.
Yeah.
Like they're going, they're like, no, not at all. Like totally do that. Like you can easily make that happen. Exactly. That's totally in your wheelhouse. You got the gifts and the experience to do that, even though you're sitting here thinking, you know, I'm 28, 29. I'm not old enough yet. And they're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
You've been doing this thing for like nearly 10 years now. Like that's heaps of experience.
Like, it's super interesting. Hey, even like the things that I was going through, I'm like, I don't know how to ask good enough questions. And I'm like, hang on, I've done 4 episodes.
Yeah.
Like,
And how do you think you're going to get better at asking good questions?
Exactly.
Asking questions.
Asking questions, sitting there with people and talking, and I think I've changed the format as well, because I was trying to copy, I think, a bit more of those other styles where it's like you do all this research and then you're like pinpointing on one, and maybe I'll do some of that in the future, but I'm like, oh, hang on, what am I half decent at? It's kind of just sitting and chatting and slowly drawing some of that good stuff out. Like, we've talked about some good stuff. We've also talked about some utter garbage today.
But that's good.
Yeah.
Because that's that whole idea too. It's not like, because I mean, in your podcast, it's not like we're sitting here like I'm trying to sell a book. Hey, ask me all about how smart I am on this topic so that people buy my book.
Yeah.
So we're just two people catching up, talking about life and what we've been learning about.
Yeah. And then there, like, for instance, I haven't released it yet, but I talked to a 92-year-old guy who has an incredible story.
Yeah, wow.
And so for that one, we kind of did go like chronologically through his life.
Of course.
Because it made sense. I couldn't believe how good his memory was. Like, he's remembering things from like 80 years ago. I can't even remember what books I read. Like,
last year.
Yeah, I can't even remember that. I was trying to tell you something I saw yesterday and I can't remember it. But so for that one, that worked pretty well, you know. And then, you know, I might have I want to have a guy I know who's like a psychologist and dig into a few of those things. So that would be just probably one topic and trying to draw that stuff out. But just do it and try and do at least one or two a week. And I'll start to figure out what people like seeing and then just do more of that.
Yeah.
Because you're never going to know what people like if you don't get something in front of them.
Yeah. Put it out there for people to.
There's only so many times I can like private Facebook message people and be like, hey, if I was to start a podcast and I did this, would you watch it? Of course they're going to say yes because they're my friend.
And they also don't really know.
They have no idea.
I guess the concept sounds good.
Yeah. Whereas I'm also, the thing I'm probably learning as well is if you try and please everybody, you'll please no one.
Yeah.
You know?
That's
so
great.
like, for instance, Daddy, like, she's like, I probably wouldn't listen to that. I'm like, well, that's fine. Somebody else might, you know. Like,
totally. Because it's figuring out your target audience in that sort of sense. It's like...
Yeah, I don't know. Like, you know, like I don't have a name for this thing yet. I had My Curious Mind. But you know when you have something and you're like, I just can't shake that I don't like it.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit silly. So that'll come as well.
The name's the hardest part.
Yeah. It's the hardest part, I reckon, but it's also the part that you think about the most that doesn't necessarily matter.
No.
Like, do you reckon?
Because you could just have your name, man.
Yeah, exactly.
You just have the Richard Bryant podcast.
Yeah. See, I said that to someone and they're like, you're not famous though.
Yeah, but like, not yet.
Yeah.
Like the Tim Ferriss show, it's like, and the Joe Rogan podcast. Yeah, they had a little bit of fame from other stuff, but like,
yeah, exactly.
It's about like their name. It was about, hey, this is something that I'm doing.
The only way that you get a name is by doing stuff.
Totally.
You don't just be like, okay, I'm famous now.
Yeah.
Not that I need to be famous, obviously, but you know, to get listeners. But yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah, and the name's sometimes more about like what it is. Like it makes sense when there's one on like it's a finance one that it's something about money.
Yeah,
because that's
money
about
or something.
Yeah, because it's about helping people know what this is about. But if it's just you catching up with people talking about life,
yeah, it's just my life. Yeah,
yeah.
Well, my
why don't just call it your flipping name?
Yeah,
and then make it easy. Because then when I'm like, oh, I want to listen to Richo's podcast, like, what's it called? Is it My Curious Mind, My Unlearning Mind, or oh no,
Unlearning? That's probably what happens when you listen to this podcast.
You should call it that.
Things just fall out of your head. Like, oh, why do I feel dumber now? Oh, that's right. I've been listening to the Richard Bryant podcast.
Yeah, that's really inspiring stuff. I like that.
Creating a whole generation of dumb people.
Making it easier to be above average.
Making it easy for the people who are smarter. That is a long-winded name. Doesn't make sense. Maybe I just call it my name. I think I might just do that.
Yeah, I don't see the issue with it.
Like the Beatles. I always think about the Beatles. Yeah. Do you reckon that there are people when this band from England were like, hey, we're the Beatles, they'd be like, what a dumb name.
Oh, totally.
What are you called? Why are you named after a bug?
Yeah, that people like to like flick or stand on or like
exactly.
get away from.
But now you're like, That makes perfect sense.
Oh, of course. Why would they have been called anything else?
Yeah, I always names are silly until they're like.
Well, it's even like Led Zeppelin. They literally named themselves after the whole idea of like, well, a lead balloon. Like
going down like a lead balloon.
Yeah.
That's wow. I never thought of that.
Yeah.
I never put those two together.
Yeah, that's what it was from because of the Zeppelin balloon, and then imagine if it was like lead.
Yeah, people have learned something.
Yeah, there you go. That's your takeaway.
Take that to your friends.
Again, sponsored by Event Cinemas.
Yeah, and the rock industry.
Yeah. But so it's a name. You just got to go for it.
Yeah.
Who cares?
I think it's definitely. I'm talking to. Well, hopefully, I'm talking to Dan Raffle. Do you know Dan Raffle tomorrow?
Yeah,
I think that's how you say his name. I don't know how to say his last name. I'll find out tomorrow.
Yeah,
he's a Scottish. He's from Scotland.
Yeah, so it's who knows.
Yeah, I really like talking to him. So I'm looking forward to digging into his story and what he's doing and stuff like that.
Is he the one that's been doing a bunch of stuff around like recovery stuff?
Yeah, he does like
the smart recovery. Yeah, that's sick. That'd be so cool.
Yeah, and he's got quite a story, like personal story around that and everything that he's keen to share. So, like I imagine that'll be pretty different to like what we've been doing.
Yeah,
that's what I like. I'm trying to create something that I would like listening to. Yeah. Which I guess that's...
And for you, variety would be a big thing.
Variety is a massive thing. I get bored too easy. You know? I like... That's probably one of the reasons why I really like, say, the Joe Rogan podcast, because one day you can be listening to like an astrophysicist. The next day you're listening to like Robert Downey Jr., you know, or...
And then a SoundCloud rapper the day after that.
Yeah, exactly, you know, or like an MMA fighter. Yeah. That's... But it's just... And some of them I'm like, oh, okay, skip this one. Not really interested. But when you have enough content, and I'm probably not going to be able to do as many as he does, but if you have...
Well, not yet.
No, but if you have enough...
he's got 1,400 episodes, so...
Yeah, sometimes he does like a couple, 2 or 3 a day. But you have enough content, people can choose which way they want. Like, you know, there'd be diehard MMA fans that really listen to that for the MMA.
That's
I
true.
like listening to the comedians, you know, it's interesting.
Yeah. That's good.
And I think it'll just organically find its flavor the more I pick people who that's probably the key, is that I'm making sure that I don't want to talk to anybody that I'm not like genuinely interested in talking to.
Yeah.
Which is
that is key.
Yeah.
Because if you're not interested.
People, and you can smell it, like you can, well, it's not smell it, you can hear it a mile away. I've heard it in podcasts where you're like, this interviewer, or even on radio interviews or TV, you're like, the person interviewing is not listening to the person talking.
They don't care at all.
They don't care, you know. So
they're just doing it for their job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas I really want to be talking to people where I don't necessarily have to have notes, because I'm so interested that I want to keep drilling down.
Yeah, that's great.
And go on tangents. So, yeah. If you have anybody that you can recommend for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's because, you know, I'm trying to do different people, but it is nice to think outside the box.
Yeah, people just outside your, like, world of knowledge.
Yeah, like we have an awesome network at Gateway, obviously, but I also want to get people who aren't from a faith background, things like that, to get all those different perspectives on and things like, and just for me to ask questions. And so, but that's, I don't have as many of those people in my sphere.
Of course.
Social sphere. That's not the right word. Is that it? Social?
Yeah, social network.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, social sphere. Sounds cool.
I think we should wrap this up, though.
Yeah, sounds good.
What, minute 11. Man, this thing is not working well.
I get little, like, cool blasts where I'm like, oh, it's getting a bit hot. And then I'm like, oh, hello. That was cool for a second.
All right, yeah.
I don't know if it's the fan is, like, taking it and turning it around.
Well, I would be better if the reason I'm wearing a hat, so I should tell you, this is pretty funny. I bought this, so I've been shaving my head. So I've got no hair, people. With a safety razor, like a normal razor. Apparently, and so you get real bad razor burn from it. So I was like, surely there's these people that have like beautiful bald heads. Yeah. How is this? And so they say use like a double-edged safety razor, or not just a normal like single blade razor. So it's a bit more sketchy. But you do it slowly and it doesn't give you any razor burn or anything. I didn't do it so slow today. This looks like the Red Wedding from Game of Thrones. Man, there was some blood out the back of my head. I didn't realize. I don't know what I haven't even looked in the mirror yet, but I didn't, because it's such a sharp blade that I didn't realize I'd cut myself. And I was
Really?
like, what's dripping down my back?
Oh,
and when I turned around, it was blood dripping down the back of me. So I was like, better put a hat on, and I cut one here as well.
That's nasty.
Yeah, pretty brutal.
Yeah.
But yeah, then apart from that, that wasn't a good advertisement for double bladed, whatever it is. It's like a single. It's just like a razor blade,
Just a single,
and it has like a little curve. So the problem that they reckon with the like if you get like 4 blades or 3 blades, it cuts it. But for a lot of people, like so, I have naturally pretty curly hair, and so when I cut it really short, it then curls over on itself and stabs into the skin. So that's why you get...
That's interesting.
Yeah, so that's why you get like red bumps and like ingrown hairs, because you're cutting it so short, but the way that this is what I found on YouTube.
Yeah.
From other bald men with like 2,000 subscribers.
Yeah,
so
come on.
Who knows? It curls over. And so apparently this one's really popular. Apparently like African Americans, they've got super curly hair, right?
Yeah, of course.
And so they have a real problem when they shave their head because it gets real bumpy and stuff. So if you use like a single blade one, I don't know what the difference is, but
that's interesting.
I've been using it now for like a couple of weeks and it's way better. But except for today. I was rushing a bit and I was like, oh crap. Anyway,
damn it.
Yeah.
I've cut myself real good.
Yeah, I was like, I had to like get the tissues out. And then I've got some patches left because I was like, I better stop before I like just bleed out. I'm just on the bathroom floor or something.
Yeah, that's right. Shivers.
Because it was really bleeding, eh?
Your head bleeds like nothing else. That's
one last, I don't know. No, let's just finish. No, I started it now in New Zealand when we were over there. Daddy bought me some like super cheap razors.
Yeah.
Not from super cheap.
But sorry. I was like, oh, interesting.
But they're, I don't know, the supercar ones. No, they, and I had it and I did the same thing again. I didn't realize until halfway through. And man, it was bleeding. And then for the whole rest of the trip, I couldn't shave my head because it had...
Oh, could you take the top off it and open it up again?
So now it was a scab. And then, so I came back like looking not quite like Einstein, but it was out there a bit. I'm like, this is why I shaved my head.
Yeah, wow. That's
anyway,
not nice.
On that lovely note, I don't know. We were going to wrap up and then we started talking about that. Well, I started
talking about that.
So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on, man.
You're going to give him like a sneak peek on the YouTube channel of like what your head looks like?
Yeah, I should.
Yeah.
I got to do like the intro, so maybe I'll do it for that.
Yeah, cool.
It doesn't look like it's...
Oh, yeah.
There's one like here.
Oh, yeah. That's not too bad.
I think there must be one on the back. Yeah, I reckon it's... Oh, damn, it's... Oh, a bit of blood there still. It'd be one of those things that's like pretty small, but just bleeds like crazy.
Yeah.
But anyway, thanks for coming on, mate.
No worries.
See you guys.
See ya.